Welcome to another episode of the Offspring of a Single Mom, a podcast where I talk about the chapters of my life honestly, softly, and from the strength I learned from the woman who raised me. This episode is sponsored by Holistic Ventures, a cleaning and pest control management service company situated in Lagos and Ibadan. Now, let's dive more into my teenage life into adulthood. From the previous episode, I hope you enjoyed it. We talked about my childhood story, how I grew up into who I am becoming, and now we are going to talk about my teenage life into adulthood. So let me start from my uni days. Okay, after secondary school, I wanted to go to uni. I wanted to go to OAU, Obafemi Awolowo University. I wanted to study law. I wrote my JAMB. I wrote my exam with one of my colleague from secondary school. It was a dad that took us to write the exams. I remembered, and the school was on strike as at then, so there were so many things, like we were just so undecisive. Like we were just there, sitting duck. Suddenly, one day I got a call from another of my friends from the same secondary school with a strange number, and she's like, "Hello, Taribo," because most of the people I school with, they call me by my surname. So she was like, "Hello, Taribo, like, how are you? How you doing?" I'm like, "Who is this?" And she was like, "It's me, it's Annie, it's Eniola Ojekale." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Like, where are you? Which number is this?" She was like, "I'm in Ghana." I'm like, "What are you doing in Ghana?" She's like, "I'm schooling there." I'm like, "Are you serious?" She was like, "Yeah, come and meet me. I'm bored. It's boring here. I wish you could come. And I'm like, I wish you could come. How would I get there if I want to come? I started asking questions, and then she told me that she gained admission into so school, and I should do my research and try to see how I can, also gain admission there. I was like, okay. As a sharp babe that I am now, I went to a cyber cafe because I didn't even have a phone to do all of that as at then. So I went to a cyber cafe in Orita, and I started researching schools in Ghana, universities in Ghana, because as at then the admission of our school had already closed. So I started researching universities in Ghana that still had admission, and I finally got admission into this school after like 3 weeks of sending documents, calling, and all of that. I finally got admission. When I got my admission, I called my dad and I explained everything to him. And he was like, "Well, how much is the school fees? Convert it to Naira. If I can afford it, then you can go there." Meanwhile, while I was waiting for Obafemi Awolowo's admission, my mom and I had already gone to Katangwa with the money my dad gave my mom as a then, which was 100,000 naira. We had already gone to Katangwa to buy clothes, we bought bed, we bought gas, we bought so many things that I was supposed to use to resume school in OAU. But unfortunately, I couldn't do that. I proceeded to going to Ghana. So when it was time for me to do my passport and all of that, my dad was like, "Tell your mom to use the money with her to do the passport and other processing that you need." And I'm like, "We've spent the money. I mean, we spent out of the money, but not everything, of course." So like, I was like, "We've spent the money. We bought this. We bought that. We prepared for OAU before this admission came," and he was furious. Meanwhile, he was not staying with us, so he was far away in Bayelsa. I was in Ibadan with my mom. So he was so furious, and he was like, "Give the phone to your mom. Like, what do you mean you spent 100,000 naira?" I mean, as a then, 100,000 was good money. That was like 2013. So 100,000 was good money, and he was so pissed. He was like, "How did you spend the money? Yada yada." Before you know it, he was already causing a rift, and she was like, "Okay, don't worry, I'll find the amount that is remaining, but this is the amount that is left." Like, it's not even as if the amount was going to be enough anyway. So she was like, before I even do anything, figure out how to bring that other amount that is left to the table, and then I can proceed from there. I'm like, okay. So my mom, I don't know what she did. She got the money, and I went ahead to Lagos to do my passport with the help of my same friend's mom. And then I did my passport. I bought my tickets to go to Ghana. It was a bus ticket from cross country as at then. I got everything ready, and um, that was how I went to Ghana. So now getting to Ghana, my dad was still pissed at my mom. I was just there. I was received by a couple of friends, like family friends, basically. So I was there for a while, and I went to my school where I was supposed to go to. And I got there, I explained things to them. They were like, if I don't pay my school fees, I cannot even start lectures. Because I was thinking maybe I could start lectures, my mom could come up with the money, and eventually I could pay my school fees. And my dad could, send more money and I could pay my school fees. But it did not work like that. So I had to, again, become a matured girl. At 16, I had to tell my dad that I'm in school. My mom came up with the money. He can send his own part of the money, and I'm now in school. So he kept on sending me pocket money. Sometimes when he calls me, I'll just tell him, hello, I'm in school, I'm in class, let me call you back, let me call you back, which was a lie. So for that 3 months that I spent in Ghana then, because I went to Ghana September, no, I went to Ghana October 2013. I didn't start school until January 2014. I was just, keeping up with the whole lie, like, oh, I was in class. Well, my mom knew the truth, and we were all planning everything together. Fast forward to November, December, my mom got a message from OAU that had gained admission into the school, and my mom called me to come back. And I'm like, over my dead body. What do you mean? I'm already abroad. I've told my dad that I've started classes, and now you're telling me to come back, and you're saying that we'll tell him the truth. What do you mean? This is impossible. Like, this cannot even happen. So I insisted that I was going to stay and she should not worry about me. So the school had already told me what to do. They deferred my admission to January 2014. But it was a little bit confusing because in Nigeria, we don't do January admission. It's September admission. Once you miss that September, it's till the next year, September. So, but like, I tried to make more research, ask people. People were like, oh, it's true. They do about 3 admissions or so in Ghana. So you can be in 100 level first semester, and somebody else can be in 100 level second semester, basically. So I was like, okay, all right, then I was rest assured. After a couple of months, of course, I came back for holiday. It looked like I was in school, but deep down I wasn't in school. I didn't even tell that my friend that called me that I wasn't in school. That was how serious it was. I had to grow up early. I had to keep it between my mom and I just to keep the family running. Because if my dad had known like that all of this happened, maybe it would have been worse. It could have been worse. Maybe he would have told me to come back to Nigeria, and who knows, maybe I'll have to write jump all over again. I'll have to write, Nigeria system is just crazy. And I loved where I was. I was already seeing myself in Ghana. I was already happy and all of that. Those were some of the things I had to put up with or I had to like go through. So then my adult life started in Ghana. I started having boyfriends and a lot of betrayals. I don't even know. I don't even know where to start. So my love life has not been easy either ways. I love so hard and I get hurt like deeply when eventually they hurt me. The first guy I dated officially cheated on me, of course. And I found out from one of his friends. It was very messy. Anyway, the second guy I dated, which was the one I dated all through like uni, he was doing way better than me. He was way older than me, but one or two things led to each other, and we dated, right? But I learned a lot from that, which also brings me back to what my mom went through. When you don't have finance of your own, there's a lot of things you have to put up with. Just because you want to be with this person that has money, even though you don't like the character that the person is portraying or how they are treating you, you just have to be there because, oh, this person is helping me with one or two things. If I leave now out of anger, that means I've like broken or like cut ties or like, burn the bridge basically. One major thing my relationship in uni taught me was that I need to have my own thing going on for myself. I need to be able to date people by choice. And that can only happen if I work hard, if I have my own money. So one thing my mom has always told me is regardless of how rich your husband may be or whatever, whatever, always make sure you have your own thing going on for yourself. Do not leave your job for any man because if she didn't have a job, ìyà tí ò bá jẹ wá ò bá pọ̀ jù yẹn lọ, we would have suffered more. We would have suffered more if she did not have any job at all. So I had not seen my dad for 8 years. When I was done with uni, I knew that I needed to see this man. Like, this man just kept on paying for my school fees. He does not care to see me. If Mohammed is not going to come to the mountain will go to Mohammed. So when I was coming from, immediately I got to Lagos from uni, I
decided to book a ticket to Bayelsa, and I went to Bayelsa. I didn't even tell him I was on my way. It was more of a surprise until I got to somewhere close to the house and I did not know the road anymore. So I had to call him. It was a shock because if I told him I was coming, he would have said no. He had always said no, which I don't know why. So I decided to surprise him. He was surprised to see me. He was happy. Everybody was happy. I spent about 5 days with him before I left. Just when I started building this sweet relationship with this man, like I'm already an adult, he's getting to know me, I'm getting to know him, we talk every day. We now have conversations where we say, I love you. Hey, what a miracle. And he came to see me again in 2019 when I was serving. We have a picture of me, like he has a picture with me when I was serving. He married my mom again. He remarried my mom again, like in church, and everything was going on smoothly. Just when I was about to start enjoying this man, doing things for him, the little I could as at then, he passed. He passed in 2023. And I don't know. It was a very emotional moment for me. I've still not gotten over it till today. You can never get over losing a family member, regardless of what has transpired between you guys.
Every independent woman you see is as a result or a product of watching what happens when you put your life in someone else's hands and they drop it. Me, for one, I don't know how to depend on any man. I don't know how to relax and be taken care of because it's such a gamble and I can't afford to lose. After seeing what happened with my mom, how she struggled to raise us, I cannot afford to let that happen to me. No. Money, iná ìṣìṣì òjò ní lẹ́ẹ̀mejì. No, mi ò lè lajú mi sílẹ̀ kí n jẹ́ kí tàlùbọ̀ kúrò. And I'll give my mom the world because till date, she still does not know how to relax and be taken care of. Now, I have the responsibility to take care of her. And so help me God, I will try to the best of my ability. I'll give her the moon if I have to. Remember, if you're a product of a single mom, you can be better. That's not the end of your story. That is not the end of your story. You can be a lot of things when you put your mind to it. And there's so much we can achieve when we come together. One of the reasons why I started this podcast is because people don't talk enough about the children of single mothers. Yes, they praise single mothers, but they don't talk about the children's of. No one talks about it, and that is why we are here. Remember, if today's episode resonates with you, like, share, and subscribe. Keep becoming. This is our story.